Hey, this is a compilation of the mechanics I talked about during Japril, along with any Pokemon I used as examples. No art for this one. Instead, I'm going to explain how I handle abilities, which honestly is part of my art process, so I say it counts as art. I enjoy role playing games, and I ended up making abilities more RPG like. Abilities now have three different effects: Battle, Pasture, and Overworld. Not all abilities have all three effects. Pokemon can have a different ability per effect, and I have increased the amount of abilities a Pokemon can potentially learn to 6. I'm also not worrying about hidden abilities, but that is mainly because I don't really want to figure out what that is, and that is mainly because I don't really want to figure out what is and isn't a hidden ability per Pokemon. Battle effects are what fans are most familiar with. Pasture effects are what abilities do when the Pokemon are in certain parts of a pasture. I will explain my grievances more about pastures in LA in my Celia video, along with how they work. Overworld effects require a little more explanation. In my regions, you don't just have the standard 6 battle party slots, you also have 6 overworld slots. These can be used for ride Pokemon or other abilities. For example, if you have a Pokemon with a pickup ability in an overworld slot, you will automatically pick up items as you go. Intimidate will decrease the spawn rate of Pokemon, and Attract will increase the spawn rate. One of these overworld slots is for your Pokemon Familiar. Their ability might help in the over could help, but could be useful in the overworld or in battle. Pastures. I did promise this earlier, and I will get into it, but first, a deeper delve into a familiar face. Hold'em aka UB Pocket, a psychic and fairy type, the Bag of Holding Pokemon. Much research has been done on this Pokemon and the pocket dimension inside. All evidence points to that all it wants to do is to be a backpack. You cannot acquire one by standard means. To obtain one, all you have to do is walk around with only the shirt on your back, though it is not always guaranteed. It has a new ability, Multidimensional. In battle, this allows this Pokemon to exist in multiple dimensions at once, stopping it from attacking and being attacked. In an overworld slot, this allows the Pokemon to act as a backpack and pastures, with a customizable area where you can rest. One of the many Pokemon I have created that are useless in battle, this Pokemon would be a permanent addition to one of your overworld slots. Anywhere else that does not have this feature, this Pokemon would act as a key item. Hatching Pasture. A Pokemon with Flare Body or other such ability must be present for eggs to hatch. Hatched Pokemon will not automatically be in a Pokeball. You must use a Pokeball on a Pokemon in order to catch it, which will be an automatic catch. Alternatively, you can use the ideal layout, which will automatically catch the Pokemon for you. I have quite a few rules here for how Hatching Pasture works, so you can pause to view or visit the link in the description. The Collection Pasture. This pasture is simpler. Some Pokemon, much like in Pokopia or in a pasture in Cobblemon, will drop items. If you place a Pokemon with an item collection ability in the first slot, it will collect the items the Pokemon in the pasture drops and place it into your bag. Otherwise, those Pokemon will drop an item by holding it until you interact with it in whatever pasture it is in. A little bit more about my terrestrial expansion. In Area Zero, in the deepest depths where you find Terrapagos, carping can also be found. One of these carpings evolved into a special Diancie after consuming so many Terra crystals. This Pokemon then made its way to the Pandoria region and is the reason for the terrestrial phenomenon there. The gems seen on Terra hats reflect its origin, based on Mega Diancie's head gem. I've also created a Terra hat for the sound and light type, with Diancie's Terra gem where the Terra gem on the hat would normally be. For the light type, I'm further referencing Dark and Light's evil and good theming. It is yet another trace, this time of the Dark Terra hat with the colors switched. Tanashi, a pure ground type, the seedless Pokemon. This Pokemon appears to be a seed ball missing seeds. The only thing this Pokemon is interested in is berries. So much so that it won't even acknowledge a battle is happening unless the opponent is holding a berry. Even then, this Pokemon's speed all but ensures that it will steal the berry and run away before you can comprehend what's happening. It has a new ability, Berry Intrigue, where Tanashi will immediately flee a battle if the opposing Pokemon is not holding a berry. If the opposing Pokemon starts by holding a berry, then consumes the berry before it can steal it, this Pokemon will flee immediately. It only knows one move, Seed Sneak, where it has a chance to steal an opponent's berry. The chance grows as the battle moves on, and once it does steal the berry, it will flee. If you manage to feed Tanashi 5 of the same berry, it will evolve into a berry bush that grows that type of berry. If Tangela and Tangrowth are based on shambling mounds, these two are based on awakened shrubs and trees. Bushella, a pure fairy type, the awakened shrub Pokemon. Unless evolved by a trainer, this Pokemon are pretty stationary, preferring to stay in one spot. They make certain they are in an area they can help a bunch of local Pokemon by providing them with delicious berries. They will attack if someone unknown tries to take their berries. This Pokemon grows the berry you use to evolve it, and its ability, Berry Wield, reflects this. Battle Effect allows this Pokemon to use the berry growing on it 1 to 5 times in battle. It cannot hold any other items. Familiar Effect. All berries held by the Pokemon can be used twice. It's got a complicated evo method. You must fill a berry basket with a number of the more common berries and use it on this Pokemon. The shiny will only accept the rarer berries. I do have a list of all the berries, including some custom berries that would be needed. Bushare, a pure fairy type, the awakened tree Pokemon. Unlike its Prevo, this Pokemon prefers to root itself permanently into the ground. While it can still attack, it is much slower. Though when provoked, it can certainly pack a wallop. Often mistaken for a regular berry tree, trainers will try to pick the fruit only to be attacked, unless the trainer has shown kindness to the Pokemon Bushare considers under its protection. Its ability, Berry Good, allows it to use the effect of the berry that evolved it into Bushella with no limits. It cannot hold other items. Its signature move, Care Berry, is more useful in double battles, as it allows Bushare to give an ally one of the berries it grows. If the ally meets the requirements for a berry to trigger, that berry is more likely to be given. It's recommended to put this Pokemon in a collection basket, as it is a good source of berries. Bushare will drop all the common berries, while the shiny will drop the rarer berries. There is a shiny-only Evo for Bushare that is far more complicated, which would have to be its own video, as it does involve the Pandorial Legendary. Pragmagic's Cornera region is based on the Four Corners area, which is where I'm originally from, specifically Arizona. The gimmick here is nucleotypes. My Terrestrial expansion actually has something similar, and may or may not be inspired by it. I honestly do not remember if it was. Many Pokemon have a favorite Terra Perma type. Most of the time, these are types that fit the Pokemon beyond just the ones they were given. You still have to use Terra Waffles to give them the type, but you will not need any extra toppings. You will even gain friendship if you give a Pokemon one of their favorite typings, and as long as they have this type, friendship boost is increased. As a contrast, Pokemon can also have hated Terra Perma types, that they will straight up refuse unless you heap their favorite toppings on the Terra Waffles. You will lose friendship if you successfully give this Pokemon one of their hated typings, and as long as they have this type, friendship gain is halved. Then if you give a Pokemon a certain Terra Perma type, they will evolve once more, much like Perlush evolving into Chaotic Horde with a sound Terra Perma type, which is a favorite type for the Pokemon. However, some Pokemon evolve with their hated Terra Perma type. Weezing was given the Fairy type and produces clean air instead of toxic fumes. In my regions, you would need to give Koffing the Fairy Terra Perma type to get Galarian Weezing. Luckily, the Fairy type is neutral for this line. I am using this Fairy type as a purifying type thing for a Paras Evo. Paras is supposedly a cicada possessed by a parasitic mushroom that fully takes over the Pokemon upon evolution, which I take to mean the mushroom has more influence than the creature possesses, especially when it comes to evolution. If you manage to give Paras their hated Terra Perma type of fairy, it will evolve. However, you must do this before it reaches level 24, because by then it's too late. I originally thought these Pokemon were crabs, and Parasect does have some hermit crab inspirations, so I am sticking with that. Paracept, a pure bug type with a Terra Perma type of fairy, which cannot be changed. The crab Pokemon. This Pokemon, unlike its counterpart, now has complete control over its mushroom. Instead of harmful parasitic spores, its spores are now healing spores. If these spores touch its Prevo, it will immediately evolve. Unfortunately, the mushroom recognizes this Pokemon as a threat and will make Paras run and flee for a sign. As the as the fairy type saved Paracept from certain death, it is no longer a hated type, but a favorite Terra Prima type and would act as such. This ties into its new ability, Healing Shroom. In battle, all mushroom-related moves heal instead of damage. In Overworld, you will not encounter mushroom or infected Pokemon. Each variant of Cordyceps infects only one type of insect. I am flipping it around and making this mushroom remove infections instead. However, this is Pokemon, so it affects all. The names combines Parasite, and Intercept. Tanashi and its Special Evo may not look like a mechanic at first glance, but they are an automatable source of berries. This is all just another feature of collection pastures.